Dad, why does Mom call you her placeholder when she's on the phone with Trevor? My 13-year-old daughter, Sophie, stood in my home office doorway, clutching her algebra textbook, completely unaware she'd just exposed my wife's 15-year deception. I froze at my desk. My fingers stopped typing mid-sentence on a patient report. The grandfather clock in the corner seemed to tick louder as I processed what my daughter had just said. "When did you hear this, sweetheart?" I kept my voice steady, though my world was collapsing. "Like 20 minutes ago." She was in her bedroom laughing about it. "She said you were just keeping the seat warm until Trevor came back." Sophie shifted uncomfortably. "Dad, what's a placeholder?" That innocent question from my daughter would launch 6 months of calculated documentation, hidden cameras, and legal warfare that would leave Diana sobbing in a packed courtroom, begging for mercy she'd never receive. What would you do if your own child revealed your spouse's betrayal? My name is Robert Calloway. I'm a 43-year-old dentist from Westchester County, and this is the story of how I discovered my entire marriage was a lie, and how I systematically dismantled my wife's plan to rob me blind. Over the next 6 months, I would catch Diana on camera with her boyfriend, discussing how pathetic I was while planning to steal from my safe. I would uncover secret bank accounts, 4 months of hotel receipts, and emails where she literally wrote about maximizing what she could get from me. But first, let me ask you something. If you discovered your partner had been pretending to love you for 15 years, using you as their financial safety net while waiting for their real love, would you forgive them, or would you destroy everything they'd built on your back? Drop your answer in the comments below, because what Diana did next made my choice crystal clear. Before that moment in my office, I genuinely believed I'd built the perfect life. My dental practice on Manhattan's Upper East Side had a 2-month waiting list for new patients. The Colonial House in Westchester sat on 3 acres with a pool the kids loved. Every Sunday, we'd have pancakes at the country club. Every Friday night was movie night in our home theater. I coached Ryan's Little League team. We just won the regional championship. Sophie was top of her 8th grade class, already talking about Yale like her old man. From the outside, we were that family. You know the type, the ones whose Christmas cards make you feel inadequate. Diana and Robert Calloway, living proof that hard work and dedication pay off. Diana played her role flawlessly. President of the school's fundraising committee. Host of a monthly book club that raised thousands for literacy programs. She kissed me goodbye every morning, packed the kids' lunches with little notes, and text me heart emojis during the day. "Love you, honey. Don't work too late. Missing you. Can't wait for date night. You're the best father. The kids are so lucky." Looking back, those texts were performances. Academy Award-worthy acting that I never questioned, because why would I? We'd built this life together, or so I thought. The spa weekend started about a year ago. Once a month, Diana would disappear to recharge at various wellness retreats. She'd come back glowing, refreshed, more affectionate than usual. I was happy she was taking time for herself. After 15 years of marriage and 2 kids, didn't she deserve some pampering? The book club meetings became longer. PTA conferences seemed to multiply. She'd be on her phone constantly but would quickly switch screens when I walked by. "Just planning Sophie's birthday party," she'd say. Or, "The committee is driving me crazy about the auction." I noticed but didn't notice, if that makes sense. These were explanations that fit perfectly into our suburban life. Why would I question them? But Sophie's bombshell suddenly made every odd moment click into focus like adjusting a microscope lens. She was laughing about it with Aunt Patricia, Sophie continued, still standing in my doorway. "Mom said you were boring but reliable, like a Toyota Camry." A Toyota Camry. 15 years of marriage reduced to a reliable sedan metaphor. "Sophie, did Mom mention who Trevor is?" I asked carefully. "Her college boyfriend, I think?" She got all giggly talking about him. It was weird. She doesn't laugh like that with you. That observation from my 13-year-old daughter cut deeper than any insult Diana could have thrown at me. Kids notice everything. They see through the performances adults put on. Sophie had just confirmed what I'd been too blind to see. Diana hadn't been in love with me for a very long time. Maybe never. "Thanks for telling me, sweetheart." Why don't you go start your homework? I'll help with the algebra in a bit. Sophie left and I sat in my office staring at our wedding photo on my desk, Diana in white, smiling brilliantly. But now I wondered, was she smiling at me or at the security I represented? Was she already counting down the days until Trevor returned? If you've ever had that moment where one sentence changed everything, hit that subscribe button because Sophie had no idea she'd just saved her father millions of dollars. Most people would have stormed into the bedroom and confronted Diana immediately. That was my first instinct. To rage, to demand answers, to let 15 years of betrayal explode in one devastating conversation. But I didn't. Instead, I opened my laptop and started researching. Security cameras, voice recorders, forensic accountants, divorce attorneys who specialized in high-asset cases with infidelity. If Diana had been planning her exit strategy, I needed one too. Sophie's innocent revelation had given me something precious, the element of surprise. Over the next 3 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. A detective in my own home. First, the security cameras. I told Diana I was worried about break-ins after our neighbor's house was burglarized. A lie, but she barely looked up from her phone when I mentioned it. I had 8 cameras installed, covering every entrance and the main living areas. Full audio and video streaming directly to my phone. Next, the phone records. As the account holder for our family plan, I had access to everything. The number that appeared hundreds of times over the past 4 months had a 212 area code. Manhattan. I reverse searched it, Trevor Morrison. But the real goldmine was the credit card Diana didn't know I knew about. I'd found the statement months ago while looking for tax documents. At the time, I assumed it was for Christmas gifts or surprise planning. Now I pulled 3 months of statements. The Ritz-Carlton, the St. Regis, the Plaza. Always Tuesday afternoons. Always when she was supposedly at her committee meetings. For 3 weeks, I documented everything while playing the oblivious husband. I kissed her goodbye each morning, asked about her day each evening, attended Ryan's baseball games with her, sitting side by side like the perfect couple. All while evidence accumulated on my laptop like a prosecutor building a case. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. October 15th, 2019. Rain hammered against the kitchen windows as I came home early from work. Diana was standing by the sink, her posture rigid, still in the designer dress she'd worn to her supposed library fundraiser. "We need to talk," she said without turning around. 4 words that never lead anywhere good, but I was ready. I'd been expecting this for 3 weeks. "Everything okay?" I asked, setting down my briefcase, playing my part. "The kids are at my mother's." She finally turned, and I could see she'd been crying. Her makeup was smudged, but there was something else in her expression. Relief. Like someone who'd finally decided to jump off a cliff they'd been standing on for years. "Robert, I can't do this anymore." "Do what?" "This, us. This marriage." She took a breath. Trevor's back. There it was. The name Sophie had mentioned. The name on hundreds of text messages. The name on hotel receipts I'd been collecting. "Trevor Morrison," I said calmly. Her eyes widened slightly. "You know? I know you've been seeing someone. I didn't know who until now. A half-truth." Let her think I just figured it out. "His divorce finalized. He's moving back to New York." The words tumbled out faster now. "Robert, I'm sorry, but I never stopped loving him. When he left for London 16 years ago, I was devastated. You were there, you were kind, you were stable. My parents loved you. It made sense. So I was what, a consolation prize?" She flinched but didn't deny it. "You were safe. Trevor was always the risk taker, the one who chose his career over us. You chose me. You gave me stability, a family, this life. But Robert," she met my eyes, "you were just a placeholder." "I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Just a placeholder. 15 years, 2 kids, thousands of shared moments, reduced to a temporary position." "How long have you been seeing him?" I asked, though I already knew. "Physically, 6 weeks, a lie. The hotel receipts went back 4 months, but I kept my face neutral." "I've already spoken to a lawyer," Diana continued. We can do this amicably. Split everything fairly. Share custody. No drama. She'd planned everything. The lawyer, the timing, even sending the kids to her mother's. She thought she was in complete control of this conversation. Where will you stay? I asked. With Trevor. He has a place on the Upper West Side. Of course he did. She was leaving our family home to move in with him immediately. No transition period. No attempt at counseling. Just a clean swap from one life to another. Get out, I said quietly. Robert, we should discuss. Get out of my house, now. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, pausing only to say, my lawyer will be in touch. The door closed and I stood alone in our kitchen, rain still beating against the windows. Most men would have broken down. But I had Sophie's words echoing in my head. Diana had already made mistakes. The credit card, the lies about the timeline, the assumption that I'd roll over. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through 3 weeks of evidence. She thought she'd won. She had no idea what was coming. 3 days after Diana left, my business partner Harold Brennan showed up at my door unannounced. He took one look at my unshaven face and the chaos in my living room and shook his head. Rob, you look like hell. Feel worse, I admitted, letting him in. Harold had gone through a brutal divorce 5 years earlier. His ex had taken the house, half his practice, and somehow gotten alimony despite being the one who cheated. He looked around at the empty pizza boxes and scattered legal papers. She file yet? Yesterday. Wants the house, half of everything, plus alimony. Says I was emotionally absent. Harold actually laughed. After admitting to an affair? Rob, she's going for blood. You need Rachel Dunn. Oh, only the most ruthless divorce attorney in New York. They call her the Shark in Chanel. She destroyed my ex's lawyer so thoroughly the man switched careers afterward. 2 days later, I sat across from Rachel Dunn in her Manhattan office. Everything about her screamed power, from her perfectly tailored suit to the wall of victory photos with grateful clients. She reviewed Diana's filing while I sat nervously in a leather chair that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Standard playbook, Rachel said, not looking up. She's painting you as an absent workaholic to justify the affair. Claims you prioritized your practice over family. She finally met my eyes. Now, tell me what you have on her. I pulled out my laptop and showed her everything. The credit card statements, the phone records, the security camera footage of Diana packing valuables while I was at work, talking on the phone about getting what she deserved after 15 years of boredom. Rachel's eyes lit up. This is good, but we need more. I'm bringing in a forensic investigator, Tom Garrison, former FBI. He'll find things Diana doesn't even remember hiding. Tom Garrison looked like an accountant but thought like a detective. Within 2 weeks, he'd uncovered a treasure trove Diana thought was invisible. Your wife opened a separate account 13 months ago, Tom explained, spreading bank statements across Rachel's conference table. She's been moving money from your joint savings. 500 here, 1,000 there. Small enough to fly under the radar. Total, $47,000. $47,000. While I was working extra hours to boost our retirement savings, she was stealing from them. It gets better, Tom continued. The hotel records you found, those were just the Manhattan meetings. She and Trevor also met in Connecticut, New Jersey, even flew to Miami for a weekend last August. Remember when she went to that wellness retreat with her sister? I remembered. I'd even encouraged her to go, thinking she needed a break from stress. Now here's the smoking gun, Tom said, pulling out a printed email. This is from Diana to her sister Patricia, dated 14 months ago. I read it, and my blood turned cold. Trevor's been reaching out. He says he made a mistake choosing London over me. His divorce should be final soon. I need to start planning my exit from this marriage, but I want to maximize what I can get from Robert first. He's so trusting he'll never see it coming. I figure another year of playing wife should set me up nicely. Maximize what she could get from me. Another year of playing wife. I wasn't just a placeholder, I was a retirement fund she was planning to cash out. There's more, Rachel said. Trevor Morrison's divorce? It was finalized 18 months ago, not recently. He's been back in New York for over a year. And those apartment viewings Diana claimed were for her sick cousin. She and Trevor put an offer on a $3 million penthouse 4 months ago. They'd been planning to buy a home together while I was still bringing Diana breakfast in bed on weekends. Can we prove all this in court? I asked. Rachel smiled. That predator smile I was paying $500 an hour for. Tom's documentation is bulletproof. But we need one more thing. Trevor Morrison himself. What about him? He's wealthy. Family money plus his banking career. If Diana's been planning this for over a year with him, there's potential alienation of affection. We could go after him too. I don't want his money. I want Diana to get nothing. Rachel leaned back. Robert, she's trying to take you for everything. The house your parents helped you buy. The practice you built from nothing. Money saved for your children's college. Don't you think she deserves some consequences? I thought about Sophie asking why Mom called me a placeholder. About Ryan wondering why Mom was always on her phone during his games. About 15 years of fake smiles and pretend love. Do whatever it takes, I said. Rachel nodded. Good. Because what we've found so far is just the beginning. Diana made one crucial mistake. She got comfortable. Sloppy. And that sloppiness is going to cost her everything. At this point, would you have gone scorched earth or tried to settle? Drop a comment, but wait until you hear what the cameras caught. Because Diana's biggest mistake wasn't the affair or the money she stole. It was bringing Trevor to our house while she thought I wasn't home. March 12, 2020. I was at the hospital performing emergency dental surgery on a patient who'd been in a car accident. My phone buzzed with a security alert, motion detected, front door. I almost ignored it. Could have been a delivery. But something made me check the live feed between procedures. Diana's BMW pulled into the driveway. She wasn't alone. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped out of the passenger side. Trevor Morrison. I'd looked him up enough times to recognize him. That perfectly styled hair, the arrogant walk of someone who'd never faced real consequences. They thought I was at my regular Thursday evening surgery slot, which typically ran until 9 p.m. They had no idea about the emergency call. I hit record and turned up the audio. Just take what you want, Trevor's voice came through crystal clear. Your pathetic husband won't do anything about it. Diana laughed, not her polite social laugh, but something harsh and genuine. The Rolex in his office safe. I bought that for his 40th birthday, so technically it's mine. How much is it worth? Maybe 30 grand? Robert's so stupid with money. Saves everything, never spends. That's why this is taking so long. I thought he'd just roll over. They walked through my house, like they owned it. The cameras tracked them room to room. Diana went straight to my office while Trevor lounged in the living room, feet up on the coffee table I'd built by hand. You know what the funniest part is? Diana called out from my office. He still brings me coffee every morning, still asks about my day. It's like being married to a golden retriever. Well, once we're done with him, we'll have enough to buy that place in the Hamptons, Trevor responded. Maybe we should thank him in the divorce settlement. They both laughed. Then Diana said something that would later play in a packed courtroom. 15 years of pretending to be attracted to him. 15 years of fake moaning and forced smiles. God, I deserve an Oscar, or at least half his dental practice. I sat in my car outside the hospital, watching this live on my phone, feeling something inside me shift from hurt to pure cold rage. She wasn't just leaving me, she was mocking every moment we'd shared, every intimate moment, every whispered I love you. Rachel Dunn nearly danced when she saw the footage. This is perfect, absolutely perfect. But the security footage was just the beginning of Diana's downfall. The court appointed a child advocate to interview Sophie and Ryan separately. Diana had claimed I was poisoning them against her, that I was an absent father who barely knew his children. The truth came out differently. Sophie's interview was devastating for Diana. Mom's always on her phone with Trevor. Even during my recital, she was texting him. Dad recorded the whole thing on his phone. Mom didn't even watch. Ryan was even more direct. I want to live with Dad. He coaches my team. He helps with homework. Mom just tells us to be quiet because she's on an important call. Dad actually pays attention to us. The advocate's report was damning. The children's preference for their father appears genuine and based on observed behavior patterns. Mrs. Calloway seems emotionally disconnected from the children. often prioritizing her phone communications over family interactions. Then came the financial implosion that changed everything. COVID hit New York like a hurricane. The market crashed. Trevor's investment firm, Morrison Hartley Capital, lost 60% of its value in 3 weeks. By April, Trevor had been laid off along with half the senior staff. The $3 million penthouse? The Hamptons house? Gone. Suddenly, Diana's grand plan of living in luxury with her true love had evaporated. That's when she got desperate. "Robert, we need to talk." Diana's voicemail from April 15th played. "This has gotten out of hand. I'm willing to be reasonable." Her first settlement offer arrived the next day. She wanted 70% of our assets, the house, and monthly alimony of $8,000. Rachel looked at the offer and actually laughed out loud. "She's delusional. After what we have on tape, after the kid's testimony, she'll be lucky to get her clothes back." Diana's second offer came 2 weeks later. 50% of assets, no house but $6,000 in monthly support. "Counteroffer," Rachel said. "She gets 20% and pays you child support." Diana's lawyer called Rachel personally. "That's insulting. My client has been a devoted wife for 15 years. Rachel put him on speaker so I could hear. "Devoted? We have her on camera saying she faked attraction for 15 years while planning to rob my client. We have emails about maximizing what she could steal. Your client is lucky we're not pressing criminal charges for attempted theft." The line went quiet. "Then, we'll see you in court." But the biggest shock came when Diana called me directly in May, crying. "Robert, please. I know I hurt you, but don't destroy me like this. Trevor's gone. He found someone else, some 25-year-old with a trust fund. I made a mistake. The worst mistake of my life." "A mistake?" I kept my voice level. "You planned this for over a year, Diana. You documented how to extract the most money from me. That's not a mistake. That's calculated cruelty. I'm begging you." "Save it for the judge," I said, and hung up. But even I wasn't prepared for what would happen in that courtroom. The judge's reaction to the security footage would become legendary among New York divorce attorneys. Diana's complete breakdown would be captured by the court reporter in vivid detail. The final judgment would give me everything and leave Diana with nothing but regret. September 21st, 2020. New York Supreme Court, Westchester County. The courtroom was packed. Word had gotten out among the legal community that this was going to be, as one attorney put it, a masterclass in consequences. Diana walked in wearing a conservative navy suit, her hair pulled back in a modest bun. The transformation was almost comedic, from designer-clad socialite to attempted church lady. She was going for wronged wife, but everyone who'd seen the evidence knew better. Trevor Morrison was nowhere to be seen. According to Tom Garrison's latest intel, he'd married a 25-year-old heiress in July, just 3 months after leaving Diana for being too complicated and expensive. Judge Harrison took his seat. He was known for being fair but had zero tolerance for deception. Diana was about to learn why lawyers feared him. Rachel Dunn stood, impeccable in black Chanel, her documents arranged like weapons on the table. "Your Honor, we're here today because Mrs. Calloway initiated divorce proceedings claiming emotional abandonment and irreconcilable differences. However, evidence will show that Mrs. Calloway orchestrated a year-long deception to extract maximum financial benefit from my client while conducting an affair." Diana's lawyer, a sweating man named Peterson, objected immediately. "Your Honor, adultery is not relevant to asset distribution in New York State. It is when there's fraud involved," Rachel countered smoothly. "Mrs. Calloway didn't just have an affair. She systematically hid assets, stole money, and attempted theft of property while planning her exit. This speaks directly to the equitable distribution of marital assets." Judge Harrison nodded. "I'll allow it. Present your evidence, Ms. Dunn." Rachel began methodically. First, the financial documents. The secret bank account with $47,000 siphoned from joint savings. The credit cards Robert didn't know about. The loan Diana had taken against Robert's practice without his knowledge. "Objection," Peterson called out. "My client had every right to access marital funds, not to hide them in accounts opened under her maiden name," Rachel fired back. She presented bank statements, highlighting transfers made while Robert was at work, each one annotated with Diana's spa day or book club alibis. Next came the emails. Rachel read them aloud, her voice carrying through the silent courtroom. I need to maximize what I can get from Robert. He's so trusting he'll never see it coming. Another year of playing wife should set me up nicely. Diana shifted in her seat, her face flushing. This email is dated 14 months ago, Rachel continued. Mrs. Calloway spent over a year pretending to be a loving wife while plotting financial devastation. Then came the custody evaluator's report. The advocate herself took the stand, a serious woman who'd interviewed both children multiple times. Both children expressed strong preference to live with their father, she testified. Sophie, age 13, stated that her mother was always distracted and only pretended to care when Dad was around. Ryan, age 11, said his mother had missed most of his games this season because she was meeting someone named Trevor. Diana's lawyer tried to salvage, children can be influenced. I found no evidence of parental alienation, the advocate cut him off. The children's accounts were consistent with observable behavior. During my home visit, Mrs. Calloway received 17 text messages in 30 minutes and excused herself 3 times to respond, while Mr. Calloway gave his full attention to the family interaction. Rachel nodded to her assistant, who wheeled in a large monitor. Your Honor, I'd like to present Exhibit A. Security footage from the marital home, dated March 12, 2020. Diana's face went white. She grabbed Peterson's arm, whispering frantically. He stood up. Your Honor, we weren't aware of any video evidence. It's from Mr. Calloway's home security system, installed with Mrs. Calloway's knowledge, Rachel said calmly. She's on the installation receipt. Judge Harrison waved them on. Proceed. The monitor flickered to life. The courtroom watched in stunned silence as Diana and Trevor walked through the house. The audio was crystal clear. Just take what you want. Your pathetic husband won't do anything about it. Several people in the gallery gasped. Judge Harrison's expression darkened. The video continued. Diana's voice filled the courtroom. Robert's so stupid with money. Saves everything. Never spends. That's why this is taking so long. I thought he'd just roll over. Then came the killing blow. Diana's cruel laughter echoed through the speakers. 15 years of pretending to be attracted to him. 15 years of fake moaning and forced smiles. God, I deserve an Oscar, or at least half his dental practice. The judge's face went from dark to thunderous. Several people in the gallery shook their heads in disgust. One woman actually said, "Oh my God," out loud. Diana was crying now, mascara running despite the waterproof label. Peterson tried one last desperate move. Your Honor, this was a private moment of frustration. A private moment? Judge Harrison's voice was ice. This was attempted theft, Mr. Peterson. Your client entered the marital home with intent to steal property while discussing how she defrauded my petitioner for 15 years. He turned to Diana. Mrs. Calloway, I've presided over hundreds of divorce cases. I've seen adultery, deception, and greed. But rarely have I seen such calculated cruelty combined with such stunning arrogance. Diana sobbed louder. Your conduct throughout this marriage and these proceedings has been reprehensible, the judge continued. You entered marriage under false pretenses. You maintained that deception for 15 years. You stole money, hid assets, and attempted to manipulate the court system for financial gain. Most abhorrently, you've shown complete disregard for your children's emotional well-being. He looked down at his notes, then delivered the judgment. This court awards Mr. Calloway primary physical custody of both minor children. Mrs. Calloway will have supervised visitation every other weekend until a psychological evaluation determines she can have unsupervised visits. As for asset distribution, given Mrs. Calloway's fraud and attempted theft, this court awards Mr. Calloway 75% of all marital assets. Mrs. Calloway will receive 25%, which is more generous than her conduct warrants. The marital home remains with Mr. Calloway. Mrs. Calloway has 30 days to remove her personal belongings under supervision. Given the significant disparity in custody and Mrs. Calloway's deception regarding finances, she will pay Mr. Calloway child support of $2,000 monthly. Finally, given the egregious nature of Mrs. Calloway's conduct and the extensive documentation required to expose her deception, she will pay all legal fees for both parties. Diana collapsed in her chair, sobbing uncontrollably. Your Honor, please, I have nothing. Trevor left me. I can't afford. Perhaps you should have considered that before engaging in this elaborate deception. Judge Harrison cut her off. Actions have consequences, Mrs. Calloway. Court dismissed. The gavel came down like thunder. Diana was still sobbing as the courtroom cleared. Her lawyer packed up quickly, clearly wanting to distance himself from the disaster. Robert stood, straightened his tie, and walked toward the exit without looking back. If you think that's savage, subscribe and hit the bell, because what happened outside the courthouse was even more brutal. Diana's final desperate attempt to salvage something from the wreckage would backfire in a way nobody could have predicted. Outside the courthouse, Diana was waiting by my car. Her face was a disaster. Mascara streaked down both cheeks, her carefully styled hair now hanging limp. The confident woman who told me I was just a placeholder 9 months ago was gone. Robert, please, we need to talk. We just talked. In court, for 3 hours. She grabbed my arm as I reached for my car door. Can you forgive me for the kids? They need their mother. I looked at her hand on my arm, then at her face. This woman I'd shared a bed with for 15 years, who'd given birth to our children, who'd smile at me every morning while secretly despising me. The kids have their mother, every other weekend, supervised. That's what you earned. Robert, I'm begging you. You stole 15 years from both of us, Diana. 15 years where we could have both found people who actually loved us. Instead, you chose to use me as your personal ATM while waiting for Trevor to come back. I made a mistake. No. Forgetting an anniversary is a mistake. Spending 15 years lying to someone's face while planning to rob them? That's not a mistake. That's calculated cruelty. She was full-on sobbing now, right there in the courthouse parking lot. Several people walking by stared. Where am I supposed to go? I have nothing. You have 25% of our assets. That's about $300,000. More than most people see in a lifetime. Figure it out. I got in my car and drove away, watching her shrink in my rearview mirror. 6 months later, here's where everyone ended up. Diana rents a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens. 800 square feet, a far cry from our 4,000 square foot colonial. She works as a receptionist at a real estate office. Tom Garrison keeps tabs, part of monitoring for hidden assets. $32,000 a year. She went from designer shopping sprees to clipping coupons. The supervised visitations have been a disaster. Sophie barely speaks during them. Ryan asked to stop going after Diana spent an entire visit crying about how unfair her life was, instead of talking to him. The supervisor's reports are brutal. Mrs. Calloway appears unable to focus on the children's needs, instead using visits to seek sympathy for her situation. Last month, Sophie asked if she could skip her mom's weekend to attend a friend's birthday sleepover. Dad, it's just depressing there. She doesn't even have Netflix. We just sit while she texts random guys from dating apps. Trevor Morrison? He married 25-year-old socialite Brittany Hartwell in July. Her father owns a hedge fund. The wedding was in the Times, a Hamptons estate, 400 guests. A reception that cost more than most people's houses. Diana found out through Instagram. According to Tom, she called in sick for 3 days after seeing the photos. As for me, the healing's been slow but real. The practice is thriving. Turns out going through hell makes you appreciate the simple joy of fixing teeth. No drama, just clear problems with clear solutions. I bought a golden retriever for the kids, named him Charlie. Funny thing, Diana always claimed she was allergic to dogs. Another lie in the 15-year chain. Charlie sleeps in Ryan's room and follows Sophie around like she's made of bacon. I've started dating. Nothing serious yet. Rachel Dunn jokes that I now have a PhD in spotting deception. She's not wrong. First date red flag checklist. Do they look at their phone constantly? Do they have explanations that feel rehearsed? Do they talk about their ex with either too much hatred or too much fondness. I've become an expert at reading the signs I missed for 15 years. 3 weeks ago, Diana sent an email. 4 paragraphs of rambling apology. Robert, I've had time to think. Trevor manipulated me. He made promises he never intended to keep. What we had was real, maybe not passionate, but real. You were stability, comfort, partnership. I loved you in my way. Is there any chance we could try again? For the family, I miss our life. I miss you. She loved me in her way. Like how someone loves a comfortable pair of shoes or a reliable appliance. I didn't respond. Some messages don't deserve acknowledgement. Rachel called yesterday with news. Diana's lawyer reached out. She wants to modify the custody agreement. She can't afford the child support and wants to reduce it. What did you say? I laughed and hung up. The woman who thought she deserved half my practice for 15 years of pretending now can't afford $2,000 a month for her own children. Sometimes the universe has a sense of humor. The irony isn't lost on me. Diana spent 15 years using me as a placeholder, someone to keep her bed warm and bank account full until her real love returned. Now she's living a placeholder life herself. A temporary apartment, a dead-end job, swiping through dating apps looking for the next man to save her from the consequences of her own choices. She's living in the space between what she destroyed and what she'll never have again. Meanwhile, I'm living my actual life for the first time in 15 years. Here's what I learned from this whole nightmare. Sometimes kids see what we refuse to see. Sophie's innocent question saved me from years more deception. Children don't have our filters, our capacity for denial. They see mom on the phone constantly. They hear the difference in her laugh. They notice when someone's just going through the motions. Listen to your kids. They might be trying to tell you something important. Document everything when crisis hits. Those security cameras, that hidden credit card I found, the phone records I pulled. Every piece of evidence mattered. Your pain wants you to react immediately, but strategy beats emotion every time. The best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with receipts. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Diana told me I was a placeholder. She said it casually, like mentioning the weather. No hesitation, no guilt. That was the real Diana, finally being honest after 15 years of performance. When someone tells you they've been pretending to love you, don't try to convince yourself otherwise. The best revenge is strategic, not emotional. I wanted to scream, to break things, to make grand gestures of anger. Instead, I stayed quiet, gathered evidence, and let Diana hang herself with her own arrogance. She thought I'd roll over like a well-trained dog. That assumption cost her everything. Today, my life looks different. Sophie and I have movie nights where we actually watch the movies instead of me wondering why her mom is texting constantly. Ryan and I work on his pitching in the backyard with Charlie chasing every wild throw. The kids are thriving without the tension of fake family dinners and pretend happiness. I'm dating again, cautiously. Had coffee with a pediatrician last week. She put her phone away for the entire hour. Actually listened when I talked. Laughed genuinely at my terrible dental puns. Small things that feel monumental after 15 years of performance art. My practice has never been better. Turns out when you're not constantly anxious about why your wife seems distant, you can actually focus on your work. Who knew? Diana thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. Turns out I wasn't playing at all until Sophie asked that question. If you've ever been someone's placeholder, or if you know someone living this nightmare right now, share this video with them. Sometimes the truth comes from the most unexpected places, and sometimes that's exactly what saves you. The placeholder has been removed, and for the first time in 15 years, Robert Calloway is exactly where he's supposed to be.